Welcome to the second video on the scaling scan. This is about step 1A to develop your scaling ambition. My name is Leonard Woltering and I work together with Eva Valencia and all the partners you see on the screen on the scaling scan. The purpose of this video is a kind of support to the workbook write-up, some background to what the instructions in the workbook say. It gives some tips and tricks, and it's for you to use and share this video as well. Like I said, there is another video that gives a broad introduction to the scaling scan. Then this is the first video explaining the different steps, and you see the next one will be on the systems and responsibility check, the scoring of the scaling ingredients, opportunities and challenges for scaling. So there's following the steps of the scaling scan. All the information that I'm telling you, you can also find here on the scalingscan.org website. So I invite you to go there and find also the digital versions of the tool. The scaling ambition is a one-sentence statement that describes the vision of change that you want to pursue. Basically, you're asking what to scale, why to scale, when to scale, where to scale, for whom to scale, etc. The standard questions. And then we put them into a certain format, and then you have a scaling ambition, a sentence that describes what you want to do, for whom, etc. So it puts the innovation, the what to scale, in a context, where, for whom, by whom. And this is important because many scaling attempts focus only on the innovation and are oblivious to the context that they're scaling in. So we want to put the scaling context first. Also, where to scale, what to scale, how many, this should be negotiated. It is not as straightforward as you may think, and it is very important that stakeholders are part of that discussion. People have very diverse views and experiences, and it's important that you integrate them. So developing a scaling ambition, it is important that you involve as many stakeholders as you think are relevant and feasible. Once you have a scaling ambition, this will be scrutinized for feasibility in step 3 and desirability. Is it actually good what we want in step 1B, which is also another video. The first question, and you can do any question like the for whom, what, in whatever order you prefer. We start here with the for whom. What groups of people are you targeting with the innovation? Are these the end users, or are you targeting intermediaries that then can reach the end users using their own resources? So are you targeting, let's say, a farmer, or are you targeting an NGO that can help other farmers, etc.? Who are you not targeting? That's also an important question. We tend to assume that everybody is the same. A farmer is a farmer, but within that there's a lot of diversity. So you also have to be aware of actually who you're not targeting. That may tell you even more about who you are targeting as well. It is also important to consider that risks and benefits of scaling play out differently over social groups. So poor women will probably be less, will have less benefits from an innovation than, for example, a rich male farmer, for example, right? So we also have to be aware of it. You cannot just say we're targeting farmers. There's a lot of diversity there, which has implications. Why are we scaling? So are we contributing to some bigger problems, some bigger issues, for example, the sustainability development goals? And this is important because a lot of partners or donors say, okay, it's great to scale your innovation, but as long as it doesn't contribute to what I'm working on, I'm not so much interested in that, right? So it's good to find that common vision, that common goal that you are going for. That's at the global level. But what about the local level? Are you clear on the needs and demands of your target group? Are you solving a real problem? And what do you want to scale? So what innovation, which could be a technology or a practice, a way of working, a methodology, a process. Doesn't necessarily have to be a technology or a thing. What do you want to scale? And this is a very easy question for many initiatives because they've been working on a particular innovation for many years. For others, it is much more difficult because they've been working on a portfolio of options or a range of innovations, and they may want to filter out first what actually should they be working on. Now, there are different ways to do that. One very simple way to look at it is to say, okay, well, focus on the innovation that is at the interface of expertise, evidence, and potential. So the expertise means you or your organization has expertise and experience on the performance of that particular innovation in different circumstances. So you probably have piloted already. You don't want to scale something that you are not fully aware of, or you're not an expert in, because you don't know how this innovation will then behave. No? Also, do you have evidence? Do you have credible evidence about its performance? Again, for example, from the pilot project, or by if other users have taken it up. And then there's a level of confidence in the scalability. So just some basic common sense things. Is this innovation scalable? Is it affordable, first of all? Is it accessible? Does it exist? Is there interest? Is there demand? Do you have a bit of a sense? Is there a potential for this to scale? Once you have these three things, you have a pretty good idea of an innovation, the potential of that innovation to scale, and being worthwhile to be included in the scaling scan assessment. Now, the scaling scan, there are rapid versions of the scaling scan which really very fast give you an idea of how scalable your innovation is. So if you're not sure, you could also do the rapid scaling scan or the scaling scan multiple times on a few innovations to see which actually turns out to be the most scalable. It is important to realize that the scalability of an innovation is an attribute of the context. So we often think about the efficiency of an innovation or the relevance of an innovation, etc. That's all great, but the scalability is kind of like a different criteria that you have to look at. So sometimes, or in many cases, the best innovation, maybe the one that has the best results for an individual, may not be the one that is also most scalable. So this is can be a very easy one if you worked on something, but it can also be a bit more complex, and you have to maybe iterate a few times. Now, where do you want to scale? Now, it's important to realize people think often, okay, we have to do more areas, we have to go into the whole country. Yes, that could be, but you could also reach more or different stakeholders or different target users within the same geography, so within your same area. That is also scaling. No? So you rather go on intensification. Another thing that you have to be careful about is how different is the pilot from the real world. So if you have got success, let's say, in your pilot environment, and you say, now I want to go to the entire country, you have to be cognizant of the fact that the conditions that you have in the pilot may not be the same as the ones that are at the national scale. Just social dimensions are different, environmental dimensions are different. It is like this fish in the bowl. It is very happy in that pilot environment, but then if it goes to the big sea, there are many different dangers that were not there in the pilot environment. How many? Now that's an interesting question. How many people communities do you want to reach? Because there's a numeric view, but there's also more of a change view. So the numeric view is how many people have you already reached in your pilot phase? So what is kind of your starting point? No? Sometimes people, oh, double that or 3 times that. That's scaling. But if you are just a drop in the ocean, it is not really scaling, is it, right? So it's just more. So you also have to be aware of, okay, what actually is the maximum size of the target group? What is the total? And then what is a feasible number for you to reach given the time that you have and the resources. So it's a bit of a judgment call, but it has to be between the minimum and the maximum. Now let's go to the next slide. This is also about how many. There are a few theories on this which are not watertight, I would say. But an orientation is to say 25% of the total is kind of like a tipping point, where after that scaling should be easier, autonomous adoption should be much more prevalent than adoption through, let's say, pushing or promoting. So the idea is if you are in a community and you say, okay, well, there are 1 million potential end users of this, in your scaling projects, it would be wise to go for, let's say, a quarter of that and say, let's see if we can reach that with our project, and then you can see, okay, well, maybe after that it should get easier. No, this also means that there may be more other actors are more inclined to support the scaling further. That's all great, but it's theory and it's numeric. And then there's a question of, okay, is quantity better than quality? Is it always good to go for more, or do we want to go for some optimal level of scale? That we discuss in more detail in the next video. The next question is by whom? Which organizations provide leadership of the scaling process? Now, scaling happens through different phases, and you will need different roles and responsibilities and skills to do so. Managing a pilot project is a whole different game than managing a project at scale, or to support scaling even beyond the project boundaries. No? So can the organization that is currently, let's say, piloting or has maybe is the one that has been innovating, are they also the right one to provide leadership for the scaling? And if not, are there others willing and able to take a leading role? And are you supporting them with capacity development? Are you putting them at the forefront? Do you give them already leadership positions now? And also in terms of leadership, does the leadership represent also the target group? When? What is a realistic timeline for achieving the scaling ambition? Similar to how many? You also have to take consideration of actually what is feasible and what is realistic given the resources that you have. But one thing is that it's not always necessary to say, well, the contract or the project runs for the next 3 years, so my scaling ambition should also stop there. No, scaling ambitions could be much more long-term, and you could see your project as a building block towards achieving that change. Also consider that, if you go, let's say, for the best of farmers and they're already trained and they have capacities, maybe the ones that you worked with in the pilot, those have been investments made that have taken a lot of time that you may not consider so much anymore if you go to scale. But if you include new people, also new kind of groups, maybe less privileged groups, you have to really consider the time it takes to support them and to understand their needs even better. So with all these questions, the what, the why, the when, you're ready to put together your scaling ambition in this format, and you have a very nice one-sentence statement of what you actually want to do. Thank you so much. As I said, the next videos will be on the systems and responsibility check, the scoring of the scaling ingredients, opportunities and challenges for scaling. Thank you so much, and we're really happy to connect with you through the different channels. Thank you so much.